Fiancée took a break to tour Europe with her college friends, so I sold the house we bought together. When she called asking, "Where's all my stuff?" I simply said, "You took a break." I took a step forward. Her screams echoed through the phone as my lawyer delivered the final paperwork that morning. I remember the exact moment everything changed. It was a warm Sunday afternoon, the kind where the Texas heat clings to your skin no matter how high you blast the AC. Marissa was sitting across from me on the couch, a glass of rose in her hand, staring at it like she was searching for answers at the bottom. "I need a break." At first, I thought she was talking about work. She'd been stressed lately, complaining about her boss, how she never had time for herself anymore. So I nodded, ready to say something supportive. But then she looked up at me, and the way she said it, carefully, deliberately, I knew it was something else. "A break from what?" I asked, setting my beard down. She exhaled, tucking a strand of blonde hair behind her ear. "From us." The words landed like a gut punch. I stared at her, trying to process. What the HLL does that mean? "Derek, I need space. I feel like I never really got to live before we settled down. I went straight from college to working full-time, and now we have the house, the wedding. It's all happening so fast." Fast. We'd been together 5 years. We bought the house together. We spent nights talking about the future, about kids, about where we'd travel once we had the money and time. And now, suddenly, it was too much? "So what are you saying? You want to break up?" "No," she said quickly, reaching for my hand. "No, it's not like that. I want to take some time to figure things out. Maybe travel a little. Get some space." "Space from me?" She hesitated, just for a second, but it was enough. "I think it would be good for us." I pulled my hand back, heat rising in my chest. "That's bullcrap, Marissa. You don't just wake up one day and decide you need to figure things out right before our wedding. If you don't want to be with me, just say it." "That's not what I'm saying," she snapped, running a hand through her hair. I want to travel, to experience life before I settle down forever. My college friends are planning a trip to Europe, and it feels like it. I don't know, a sign. A sign. That's when it clicked. This wasn't some spontaneous realization. She had plans. This wasn't a discussion. She'd already made up her mind. "So while I'm here, paying for our house, planning our wedding, you're going to be what? Backpacking through Italy? Drinking wine in Paris?" Her silence was all the answer I needed. "Wow," I muttered, shaking my head. "Derek, please. No, you know what? Go." I stood up, my pulse pounding in my ears. "Do whatever the HLL you want. Take your break. Have your little adventure. But don't expect me to just sit here and wait." She blinked. "Wait, what are you saying?" "I'm saying you don't get to put me on the shelf while you go off to find yourself. You want to leave? Fine. But don't expect things to be the same when you come back." Her eyes flashed with something. Panic, maybe, or guilt. "I just need some time, Derek. Please understand." "I understand just fine." And with that, I walked out of the room, leaving her sitting there with her untouched glass of rose. She left 3 weeks later. I didn't go to the airport. Didn't even say goodbye. The first few days were the hardest. The house felt too quiet. I kept reaching for my phone, wanting to text her, until I remembered she was gone by choice. At first, she sent updates. Short, casual texts. "Landed in Paris. The food here is unreal. Miss you." But soon, the messages became less frequent. Then, they stopped altogether. Meanwhile, I saw everything I needed to see on Instagram. Pictures of her in a bikini, laughing on a yacht in Mykonos, clinking glasses with strangers in Rome, dancing with some guy in Barcelona, his hands way too familiar on her waist. And that was when the last bit of hope I had left shriveled up and died. I wasn't waiting anymore. I met with my lawyer the next day. "She hasn't contributed to the mortgage since she left?" he asked, flipping through the paperwork. "Not a dime," I confirmed. He leaned back in his chair, nodding. "That works in our favor." We spent the next few weeks working out the details. Since she wasn't paying her share, I had the leverage to push for a sale. I listed the house and found a buyer in 2 weeks. Once the deal was done, I went through the house, packing up every single one of her belongings: clothes, shoes, jewelry, every STPID little decoration she insisted on buying. I had it all moved to a storage unit, under her name. Then I waited. She called a month later. I was sitting on my new couch, watching a football game, when my phone lit up with her name. I let it go to voicemail. She called again, and again, until, finally, I picked up. "Derek." Her voice was breathless, panicked. "Where's all my stuff?" I smiled to myself. "Here we go?" "What do you mean?" I said casually. "Don't play dumb. I just got back and the house is gone. Everything is gone. Where's my stuff?" I leaned back, stretching my legs out. "Oh, right. Yeah, I sold the house." Silence. "Then you what?" I pulled the phone away from my ear. "I sold the house," I repeated. "I mean, you were gone for months. Figured I'd take a step forward while you were on your little break." "You had no right," she shrieked. "Actually, I had every right," I said smoothly. "You weren't paying for it. You walked away. I just made it official." She was full on sobbing now. "Where's my stuff?" "Storage unit on 5th Street." Your name's on the lease. I even paid for the first month. After that, not my problem. The rage in her voice was almost comical. How could you do this to me? She spat. Me? I let out a short laugh. You're the one who left, Marissa. You wanted a break? Well, congratulations. You got one. And with that, I hung up. I haven't heard from her since. And you know what? I've never felt lighter. For the first time in months, I felt free. No more waiting. No more checking my phone for messages that would never come. No more holding on to something that had already slipped through my fingers. But that didn't mean she was done with me. The next morning, my phone buzzed again. This time, it wasn't Marissa. It was her mother. I sighed, debating whether to ignore it, but I knew Diane well enough to know she wouldn't stop until she got an answer. Hello. Derek, she snapped. No greeting, no pleasantries. What the HLL is going on? I rubbed my temples. I assume Marissa called you. Of course she called me. She landed last night and walked up to an empty lot. Do you have any idea how traumatizing that was for her? Oh, you mean like how it felt when she told me she needed to figure things out right before our wedding? Don't be childish, Derek. I almost laughed at that. I'm the childish one. Listen, Diane, I said, cutting off whatever rant she was about to go on. I don't owe you an explanation. Marissa made a choice. I made mine. End of story. End of story, she repeated, incredulous. You sold the house out from under my daughter. No, I sold my house. She walked away from it the second she decided a European vacation was more important than our future. She was just scared, Derek. She needed time. She had all the time in the world. She just didn't think I'd move on before she came back. There was a pause. A long one. She still loves you, you know. That made me pause, too. Not because I believed it, but because I realized I didn't care. The words felt empty. Then she has a funny way of showing it, I said flatly. Diane sighed, but I could tell she was running out of steam. What am I supposed to tell her? That's not my problem. And with that, I hung up. I wish I could say that was the end of it. But people like Marissa don't just let things go. 2 days later, I came home to find Marissa on my doorstep. I had barely stepped out of my truck when I saw her standing there, arms crossed, eyes red-rimmed, but still blazing with anger. You blocked me, she said. I sighed, walking past her toward the front door. Yeah, I did. What the HLL, Derek? You're seriously just moving on. Just like that. I unlocked the door, pushing it open, then turned to face her. Yeah, Marissa. Just like that. Her jaw tightened. You didn't even give me a chance to explain. That made me laugh. An actual, humorless laugh. Explain what? That you wanted to find yourself? That I was supposed to put my life on pause while you went off partying in Europe? Nah. I got the message loud and clear. It wasn't like that, she snapped, but there was no real conviction behind it. Oh, so, the guy you were dancing with in Spain, what was that like? She flinched. Good. That's what I thought, I muttered, stepping inside. She grabbed the door before I could close it. Derek, please. Can we talk? Not like this. Just talk. For a moment, I considered it. The part of me that spent years loving her wanted to hear her out. But then I remembered how she left. How she didn't once ask me how I was doing. How she only cared now that her safety net was gone. No, Marissa. We can't. And I shut the door in her face. I thought that would be the last of it. I should have known better. Because the next thing I knew, she was lawyering up. A week later, I got served. I came home to find a thick envelope taped to my front door. At first, I thought it was some sort of spam mail. But as soon as I saw Marissa's name printed on the legal documents inside, my stomach twisted. She was suing me. For what? Apparently, she believed she was entitled to half of the profits from the house sale. I laughed when I read it. A cold, bitter laugh that probably made me look like a lunatic to my neighbor, old Mr. Hanley, who was watering his plants on his porch across the street. Something funny, son? He called out. I shook my head. Just my ex trying to rob me blind. Women will do that, he muttered, turning back to his plants. I went inside, dropped the papers on the counter, and immediately called my lawyer. Yeah, I figured she'd pull something like this, he said, sounding more annoyed than surprised. She didn't pay a dime after she left. What leg does she even have to stand on? A weak one, but that doesn't mean she won't drag it out. She's hoping to intimidate you into a settlement. Well, that's not happening. Good, he said. Then we fight. And fight, we did. The legal battle dragged on for weeks. Marissa's lawyer tried to argue that, since her name was on the mortgage, she had a right to a portion of the sale. But my lawyer came back hard with cold, hard facts. She abandoned the property. She made 0 contributions after leaving. I handled every single mortgage payment on my own. We provided bank statements, payment receipts, even email records where she acknowledged that she wasn't paying her share. The judge wasn't impressed with her case. But Marissa? She wasn't done yet. Because when the legal route didn't work, she tried a different approach. She started showing up. At my place. At my gym. Even at my office. Despite the fact that I worked remotely. She somehow got past security and waited in the lobby until someone called me. Sir, there's a woman here asking for you. The front desk receptionist said over the phone one afternoon. I sighed. Let me guess. Blonde. Dramatic. Looks like she's on the verge of throwing a tantrum. Uh, yeah, actually. I pinched the bridge of my nose. Tell her to leave. Marissa did not take that well. She called. She texted. She even left a handwritten letter in my mailbox. At first, I ignored it. But curiosity got the best of me, so one night, after a couple of beers, I opened it. It was a mess of emotions. Apologies. Accusations. Nostalgia. Guilt tripping. I don't know who you are anymore, Derek. The man I loved wouldn't be so cruel. I came back hoping we could fix things, but you won't even give me a chance. I miss you. I miss us. I crumpled the letter and tossed it into the trash. Because here's the thing, she didn't miss me. She missed the comfort of knowing I'd always be there. I thought ignoring her would make her stop. I was wrong. Because when the legal route and the guilt tripping both failed, Marissa did what she did best. She escalated. One evening, I got home from the gym, drenched in sweat, muscles sore, just wanting a shower and some peace. But the second I pulled into my driveway, I knew something was off. A car I didn't recognize was parked across the street. The second I stepped out of my truck, the driver's side door opened. And there she was, Marissa, wearing an oversized hoodie, leggings, and a look of absolute determination. I groaned, slamming my truck door shut. You've got to be kidding me. She stormed toward me. We need to talk. No, we don't. Derek, please. Just 5 minutes. I sighed, rubbing the back of my neck. There was no point in arguing. She wasn't going anywhere until she said whatever the HLL she came to say. Fine. 5 minutes. Say what you need to say, then leave. Her face softened, like she thought this was progress. Can we go inside? I laughed. A full, genuine, are you serious right now laugh. Not a chance. She pursed her lips. Okay, fine. Then, she took a deep breath and started. I need to understand. Why are you being so cruel to me? I stared at her. Are you actually serious? Yes, she snapped, throwing her hands in the air. I left to figure things out. I needed time. But you just moved on like I never even mattered. That was it. That was the moment I snapped. I took a step closer, my voice dropping. You want to know why, Marissa? Because you didn't need time. You needed a vacation. You wanted to go screw around Europe and have fun while keeping me on the back burner. You didn't think for a second about how this would affect me. And now that your little trip is over, you expect me to just be here? Like nothing happened. Her eyes were glossy now, but I didn't care. You made your choice, Marissa. You left. And you know what? That was the best thing that ever happened to me. Her breath hitched. Wow, she whispered. You really don't love me anymore, do you? I didn't even hesitate. Not even a little. Her bottom lip trembled. I could see it in her face. She never expected me to say it out loud. I hate you, she choked out. I shrugged. That makes two of us. And just like that, she turned and walked away. I should have felt relief. But something told me. She wasn't done yet. I didn't see or hear from Marissa for the next few days. No calls. No texts. No random appearances at my house or my gym. At first, I thought maybe, just maybe, I'd finally gotten through to her. That she'd packed up whatever pride she had left and moved on. But deep down, I knew better. And sure enough, when the storm came, it came hard. It started with texts from mutual friends. At first, they were subtle. Kara, hey, I just heard about everything with Marissa. I don't want to take sides, but are you okay? Mike. Dude, what the HLL happened? She's saying some crazy crap. Then, they got less subtle. Jenna. You sold the house just to screw her over? WTF, Derek? Ryan, bro. Did you really leave her homeless? I stared at my phone in disbelief. Because there it was. Marissa's last weapon, the victim card. I didn't respond to anyone. Instead, I waited. Waited for the inevitable call from the source of all this bullcrap. And sure enough, 2 days later, Marissa's name popped up on my screen. I let it ring. Once. Twice. 3 times. Then I answered. What do you want, Marissa? You need to fix this. I blinked. Fix what? The lies you're spreading about me, she snapped. People are turning against me because of your STPID little revenge scheme. I let out a sharp laugh. You mean the revenge scheme where I sold my house because you abandoned it? That one. You knew I'd come back, she screamed. You knew we were going to work things out. No, Marissa. You thought we were going to work things out. You thought I'd sit around like a dumbass, waiting for you to be done with your break. But guess what? That's not how this works. Silence. Then, she did what she always did when she had nothing left. She cried. I don't have anywhere to go, she whispered. I ran a hand down my face, exhaling slowly. Not my problem. Derek, please. There was something different in her voice now. Something I hadn't heard before. Actual, real desperation. But it was too late for that. Way too late. Goodbye, Marissa. And I hung up. But I should have known. She still wasn't done. I thought that was the end of it. After I shut her down for the final time, she'd finally get the message. But I underestimated just how far Marissa would go to save face. Because if she couldn't guilt me into taking her back, she'd make me look like the villain instead. The rumors started small. Little whispers among mutual friends. People who used to greet me with a handshake or a smile started acting weird, distant, awkward. Some even stopped responding to my messages. Then, the big one hit. I was grabbing coffee at my usual spot when an old friend, Kevin, slid into the seat across from me, arms crossed. "So," he said, tapping his fingers against the table, "you want to tell me why Marissa is saying you cheated on her?" I choked on my coffee. "I what?" "Yeah," Kevin said, leaning back. "Apparently, you were messing around while she was in Europe. She came back ready to fix things, and you threw her out like trash. Even sold the house behind her back so she'd have nowhere to go." I stared at him, stunned. "And you actually believe that?" Kevin shrugged. "Look, man, I don't know what's true. But people are talking. And she's got a lot of people on her side." I let out a slow breath, rubbing my temples. This wasn't about getting back together anymore. This was about Marissa saving her reputation. She didn't want me back. She just couldn't stand the fact that she was the one who lost. And that's when I decided, fine. If she wanted a war, she was going to get one. I made one post on social media. Just one. No ranting. No insults. Just facts. "Hey everyone. I don't usually post about personal stuff. But since some rumors are making the rounds, let me set the record straight. Marissa and I bought a house together. 3 months before our wedding, she decided she needed a break and left to travel Europe. She stopped contributing to the mortgage the day she left. She came back months later, expecting everything to be the same. By then, I'd sold the house and moved on. No, I didn't cheat. No, I didn't leave her homeless. She made her choice. I made mine. End of story." I hit the post and put my phone down. And then I waited. See, Marissa was good at spinning stories, but she forgot one thing. People talk. Mutual friends who knew the real story started backing me up in the comments. Others who were on the fence started asking questions. And the best part? Someone, probably one of her old college friends, leaked the Instagram photos. The ones of her partying in Mykonos, drinking in Italy, wrapping herself around some random dude in Spain. Suddenly, her whole, "I came back ready to fix things, and he betrayed me." The story fell apart, and people turned on her. A week later, I got a text from a number I didn't recognize. "Unknown, hey, can we talk?" I almost ignored it. But then I realized. It was her boss. Now, here's something you need to understand. Marissa lived for her job. Her marketing career was everything to her. It was the only thing she loved more than herself. And apparently, her boss had seen the drama unfold online. Me. What's this about? Boss? I just have a few questions. About Marissa's situation. I smirked. Oh, I had plenty to say. So we talked. And let's just say, I may have gently pointed out that Marissa had taken months off work. Not for a family emergency. Not for anything serious. But for a self-discovery vacation. And that maybe, just maybe, she hadn't been entirely honest with them about why she needed so much time away. Her boss was not happy. A few days later, I heard through the grapevine. Marissa got demoted. Apparently, her company didn't appreciate employees who abandoned their responsibilities for months while pretending it was work-related. Her fancy office? Gone. Her team? Reassigned. Her workload? Doubled. She wasn't fired, but in the corporate world, this was the next worst thing. And the best part? She had nowhere left to go. Her friends had backed away. Her reputation was in the toilet. And that storage unit? Yeah, she defaulted on the payments. I had no idea what happened to her stuff. And I didn't care. Final score, me, 1 Marissa, 0. A month later, I was sitting in a bar, sipping a whiskey, when I got one last text from her. "Marissa, you ruined my life." I stared at the screen for a long moment. Then I smiled. And I blocked her number for good.